Astrid, honey. Hey, can I have my chair back? You're not gonna give me my chair back, are you? Hello, friends, and welcome to Figure Study, where we appreciate the form in this. Yeah, so today going to be taking a look at Leader Class Energon Optimus Prime, I believe. I believe that's what this figure's supposed to be. As I understand it, because, I mean, Energon was outside of the realm of my toy collecting back in the day. I think I'd actually stopped collecting before Energon became a thing and then started back up again well after Energon was over. Anyway, I think this is Leader Class Energon Prime, the one that comes with like the trailer full of little vehicles and stuff that all attach to him like he's some kind of Hasbro Megazord, which I guess isn't going to be that uncommon in the future. But regardless, as I understand it, and this is just as I understand it, I could be wrong, so my apologies if so, but as I understand it, Energon Prime is kind of infamous, which we'll likely get into when we get to the robot mode, but yeah. Before I get into looking at all of this, I do want to say I do not have the trailer and the other vehicles that go with him. I only have the cab. That's the only bit of Energon Prime that I have. And anyone who recalls any of the previous videos that I've done, you might know why I got just Energon Prime. And in case you're not sure why I got Energon Prime, hello. So rest assured, we're going to be getting to that. But for now, let's take a look at his truck mode. And it's awful and I hate it. All right, let's get to the robot mode. No, I'm kidding. Well, I'm kidding about glossing over it like that. It is awful and I hate it. This truck mode is really, really bad. It's like very vaguely the Optimus Prime cab. Like he's got the big sort of box in the front with the sort of back bits that you can attach a trailer to. And he's sort of got the big windows on the front there, but this thing is so lumpy and hideous. It's not even endearing, it's just sad. I mean, I do appreciate the fact that they actually painted a fair bit on here. Like, the grille in the front is silver, the rims are silver, the gas tanks on the side are silver. They even painted bits on the arms there, painted the windows on the sides, along with this white bit that kind of goes on into the front. Painted those windows, painted what I think are headlights, painted those lights. So there's a fair bit of paint going on here, but it's just, like I said, lumpy and awful. It's not a good-looking truck. He's technically got two visible heads, too, right on top there. You know, you've got the regular, hello. You could just do that. And then he's also got his big combine mode hat. And yeah, even if the head and the hat hid away in truck mode, this still isn't a great truck mode. I mean, it really looks more like a half-finished van with how the shape just kind of goes back and then slopes down into the back bit that connects to the trailer. But then you've still got gaps going through there, so it's not great. But as I said, I do appreciate the fact that they actually painted a fair bit. And I also think the color scheme itself works. I mean, the shape of the truck, like I said, is lumpy and awful, but the color scheme is pretty solid. I mean, the really dark, almost black blue that's going right across the bottom and parts of the middle works really well with the white and the red. And it's a nice white, too. I like that it's more of a stark white rather than like a grayish white or a bone white. And the semi-metallic dark blue for the windows is nice. And they actually painted the side windows and the front windows, so hooray for the old toys getting all the paint love, even if they were really, really ugly. At the very least, I feel like this truck mode probably could have benefited from something like Classics Prime's weather vane thing that just like slaps onto the top and becomes a weapon. But really, I think it'd benefit more if these arms could just go straight down to make it more of a traditional box shape in the front there. But it is what it is. Can't unmake a toy that's older than I'd care to look up right now because it's going to make me feel ancient, so I'm not going to. Anyway, bringing in our standbys for size comparisons, you can see that he's pretty big. As ugly as this truck is, I do have to admit it's a good size, and it feels solid too. It's actually a pretty solid feeling truck. And we turn everything there, you can see it's sort of, I guess this would qualify as like a large Voyager size or a small Leader size at this point. But yeah, it's horrifically ugly and misshapen, but the colors are nice, and it's at least fairly solidly made. So there is that. Alright, yeah, that's really all the enthusiasm I can muster for this truck mode. It's not good. It really isn't, and the extra stuff doesn't do anything to enhance it either. He just has a big trailer attached to a really hideously misshapen potato of a truck mode. So, enough of this. Let's take a look at his robot mode. And here we have Energon Optimus Prime in his, I guess, regular robot mode, because technically he has a super robot mode with all the vehicles that I don't have. And as far as I understand it, this is why people really didn't like this figure. Well, that and the fact that he was basically a Megazord. From what I understand, his nickname for the longest time has been Fatimus Prime. And yeah, I could see it. He's definitely got a much rounder midsection than Optimus Prime usually has. There's something kind of funny about this design and how it's just like the entire truck is his torso and then there's just arms and legs coming out of it, which I know is similar-ish to previous Optimus Prime designs, but not to this extent. This seriously looks like a truck just sprouted arms, legs, and a head. It's kind of, I guess, lazy in a way, just design-wise for the character. I mean, there's stuff to this that I'll get into in a little bit that is absolutely not lazy as far as I'm concerned, but like just the overall idea of his design as a character is kind of like, did they even try at all? Really? I will say, here, the colors still work. You've still got that dark blue now sort of concentrated around the midsection and upper thighs, and then the lighter blue for the shins, fists, and head. You don't really get that nice silver paint for the rims anymore, just when looking at them from head-on in robot mode, but you do get a nice view of the other paint that's on there, and it works pretty well. The breakup with that red and the nice bright white is quite pleasing to the eye, actually. And bringing him in closer to look at that head, that is a fairly bog-standard Optimus Prime head. A very Optimus Prime-shaped helmet, a very Optimus Prime face mask. Don't know about the yellow eyes, though. I don't think yellow eyes really work for Optimus. Then again, his entire head is kind of a muddled blue color, so I guess whatever. Nothing will top the MP10 Prime head design in terms of like classic Prime look, but this isn't terrible. It's just the yellow, I think, on this blue looks a little bit muddy, which is a shame because the yellow inside the white here is pretty nice. It makes both of those colors look pretty vibrant. But here, the vibrancy of the yellow just gets dulled by the shade of plastic that the head's made out of. Same for the silver. Like, I'm pretty sure the silver for the face and mouth plate is the same as the silver for what is now the belly section. But again, it looks kind of muddied when it's put on that blue plastic. It's a shame in that regard, but I mean, it still works. Now here comes the part where everyone goes, "What?" I actually like this robot mode. Maybe it's because I didn't come into this line when it first came out. Maybe it's because I just have weird taste. But as admittedly lazy as the design seems to be with, like I said, just like a truck with arms, legs, and a head attached, I still really like it. It evokes Optimus Prime. There's no mistaking this for another character, but it's a legitimately different look for him. He still has the classic Prime bits, like the grill midriff and the window pecs, and that head, and the separation of red on top, blue on the bottom. But it's a much different silhouette for him. And yeah, he looks portly and kinda goofy in that regard, but I don't know, I just actually really like this robot mode. I'm not saying it's my favorite, but I do like it for being different. It's different and it's silly, but it's both of those things in a way that is very interesting to me. Even with his ridiculous proportions, weird silhouette, and disappointing lack of articulation, which normally I don't talk about, but I feel the need to talk about that. Even with all of that, just with like a slight posing, he actually looks pretty cool. I have to give credit to the design in the fact that it is something different. He doesn't have that chiseled heroic physique anymore, and that's really interesting to me. Now, as I was saying, in terms of articulation, he is disappointingly limited, namely the fact that he doesn't have a thigh swivel or a bicep swivel. I'm fine without being able to swivel the waist. I'm fine without ankle tilts because this is an older toy. He does have knees, he does have elbows. I'm fine without wrist swivels and the arms do rotate. But I just feel like he could get slightly more dynamic poses if you could just rotate the biceps and rotate the thighs a little bit. And you can't, and that's disappointing. I feel like that could have been done, but then again, this is an older toy, so who frickin' knows? A little disappointing. Anyway, move him off to the side here so we can get the size comparisons out of the way. Here he is with Dreadwind, and you can see he's actually a pretty decent size. I would say, in terms of more modern size classes, definitely bigger than a Voyager, but smaller than a Leader. Very decently sized, and I mean height-wise, not girth, though he is that too. But yeah, he's no slouch in the height department. And now for the other comparison, that's the only thing that really matters because that's the whole reason I got this guy in the first place. Just gonna raise this up. Hopefully I've got the height all set up properly because, yes, indeed, we're bringing in Wing Saber. And, well, would you look at that? I actually managed to get the camera just about where I needed it. And yeah, he's not as big as Wing Saber, but that's going to change. And now, as I said, this is the reason why I got him. Because, first of all, it's cheap to get just this guy without all of the added bits, and I didn't want the added bits because I have Wing Saber. Because, just in the off chance that anybody watching this doesn't already know, which, I mean, I guess it's possible, Prime does combine with Wing Saber in two different ways, actually. And we are going to take a look at those right now, because those are the real bread and butter of this whole deal. So let's get to it. Here we have what I believe is called Wing Optimus, and this looks pretty cool. It's not a whole lot in terms of transformation going on here. Like, Prime just kind of tucks his fists in, flips his feet up, and then Wing Saber splits apart, and his legs become Prime's legs, and his upper torso, like, it changes a little bit to make new arms, but there's not a whole lot going on here that really interests me. Like, I can appreciate the idea behind it, but this mode just is not doing it for me. I mean, it's always cool to try and give Prime a wing pack of some kind, but this one's just, I don't know. There's a lot of bits to him, like the elbows here, the undersides of the wings there, that just look like exposed transformation bits, and that kind of lessens the awesomeness of everything. And on top of that, I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or if it's just the ratchets in the hips for Optimus here, but this guy does not like to stand in this mode at all. He topples backwards at the drop of a hat. The only way that I can kind of offset that is by rotating the Wing Saber feet around 180 degrees, but if I do that, it doesn't look right because they don't rotate in the center, they rotate towards the back, so it looks like he doesn't have feet. So yeah, not huge into this mode, but I can appreciate the fact that he does this. And we will be taking a closer look at the details in a minute, but we're actually going to do that in his second mode. Yes, 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 yes. This is almost entirely the reason that I got Energon Prime. Actually liking his regular robot mode is just a perk. I think this is like his artillery mode or cannon mode or something like that. I honestly don't know what the official name for this mode is, but it looks awesome. The legs are admittedly a little messy from the front, but in terms of the shape and coloring, they're fine. And they actually have decent heels, unlike the other legs, so he can actually stand without having to lean him back against anything. He does have the gorilla arms in this mode, which is a little disappointing, but he looks really cool just standing there with the giant guns on his arms, just kind of down at his sides and the big shoulder cannons at the ready. This is very cool. I think it was one of TJ Omega's videos where he was talking about Wing Saber, and he mentioned that it was interesting how this mode kind of inverts the typical Optimus Prime color placement, where now you have primarily red on the bottom and primarily blue on top. And yeah, totally. I really like that. And again, it's another example of Energon Optimus Prime doing things a little differently. There are a couple of issues that I have with this that are primarily because of my Wing Saber. This is something I didn't realize when I first got it and only realized like well after the fact. I don't know why this is, but the blue section on the left-hand side, or Prime's right-hand side, is not painted correctly. Bringing him in closer, you can see, starting from the top, actually the very top, you can see that the spot here is painted white. It is not painted on this side. Then you can also see that these bits here are painted white on the shoulder. They're not painted here. This bit around here is painted silver on the forearm. It is not painted silver on that forearm. And here the thumb matches the rest of the fingers. Here, the thumb is just that standard blue plastic color. So that's a little annoying. It doesn't ruin the figure for me, but it is disappointing that the color is off like that. I mean, I could deal with the rest of it. It's primarily the thumbs being different colors. That bugs me more than anything else, because it just makes the hands not look right anymore. Otherwise, it just looks like asymmetrical decoration, and I'm fine with that, but that's a bit disappointing. And while we're here, we can also look at the new chest detail that was revealed when we opened up the doors there, and this was also visible in the other mode, but here I feel it works better. Because for one thing, these white panels actually fit just inside the edges of the other shoulders, whereas in the other mode, they sat over top of them and just kind of looked a little bit sloppy. Here it looks much more intentional. And you also get some nice detail in the middle there with like the silver painted matrix. I guess that's the matrix chamber, and little bits of yellow there. There are lights and sounds with this, but I don't have the batteries in, and I hate lights and sounds most of the time, so I haven't even bothered to see if they work. All that would happen is that little dot in the middle there would light up, so But it is a nice detail, and I think this works really well, and I really like how this white kind of flows into the shoulder where you get these like additional whites in there. It makes it look a lot more cohesive than you'd expect. And the head is not complete because it's hard to find this guy with there are like little flaps that come down to kind of complete this big helmet look. And I didn't want to pay $60 or more for a complete Leader Prime because, again, I just wanted him for this. I could get this guy for a lot cheaper, so I'll deal. It's a little bit goofy how he's just got these little bits on top here, and there's like, yeah, it would be nice if the helmet shape was a little bit more fleshed out around the sides, but it's okay. And it does carry through that traditional Optimus head crest design pretty well into the forehead there, and it overlays his head pretty nicely. I also like how you can actually turn the head and the helmet together because of that armature. That's some nice design there. And finally, moving down to the legs, you can see they are kind of messy, but it doesn't bother me too much. And the color breakup's actually pretty decent, where it goes from like red to white to red to black to red. And this black is not the same as the really dark blue in the thighs, but it's a close enough shade that it sort of flows in that way. I do think it's a little bit of a shame that there's all this nice detail on the sides of the legs that you just don't get to see in this mode. at least not when you're looking at him from dead on. And I think it would be cool if there was a way to like bring more of that detail into the front, but it's okay. It's this section here that really draws your eye because you've got just all that nice silver and that really, really nice bright blue, and of course the bright white. It's a good looking combine mode. Anyway, let's get him back here so we can do the last of our size comparisons. Since there are no more wing sabers to do a comparison with, here we've got this mode of Energon Prime with a Power of the Primes Deluxe, and he's big. I mean, that's to be expected. It's one pretty decently sized robot combined with an even bigger robot, but yeah, he definitely has some height to him. He does not look like he wants to mess around in this mode, and I appreciate that. Ah, heck, let's do one more size comparison for the road. So, just in case anyone was curious, here he is next to a slightly enhanced Combiner Wars combiner, because Victorion does have the perfect effect feat, which makes her just a tiny bit taller, but yeah, he's not quite the size of a modern day combiner, but he's close. He is appreciably close. Anyway, I do believe that is going to do it for Energon Prime, and also Wing Saber, I guess, even though we already looked at Wing Saber, but very cool combine mode, all things considered. Like I said, the truck is kind of dumpy and awful, but I actually find the robot mode pretty endearing. And the fact that he can combine with Wing Saber in 2 different ways is pretty cool, and this second mode is really cool, so I'm totally down with that. But enough about what I think. What do you all think of Energon Optimus Prime? Is there anyone else out there who can look past the weird Super Sentai-ish nature of his combination into his super robot mode? Is there anyone else out there who actually likes his regular robot mode for what it is? And for anyone who has Energon Wing Saber, which of the 2 combinations is your favorite? If any, because, I mean, the 2 of them actually do look pretty cool just standing next to each other. But whatever your thoughts, please feel free to comment down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. And while you're at it, also feel free to like or subscribe. Any combination of those 3 things would make me a happy Rob. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.